Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jazz. Today we're going to be discussing the full moon that's happening in the sign of Scorpio on May 12th, 2025. It's happening at 22 degrees of Scorpio. So the signs that will be the most affected by this are going to be people who have around 22, I would say maybe 20 to 24 degrees of Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, or Leo. We're going to talk about the astrology, the human design, the gene keys, and specifically for this, I am really excited to talk about all of these and integrate these different systems that I love and to give that to you guys to hopefully have some more sense of understanding around what is being asked of us, what we are experiencing, and how we are being asked to meet this experience, which is most of the work that I do with people. Full moons are a culmination. They're a fruition. We are often illuminated to something because the moon becomes full and we have some sort of emotional understanding. Now, this one specifically, we're going to have a little bit more of a shock or destabilizing understanding, but ultimately it is for our higher good. We can often see what needs to be released, what is no longer serving us around full moons. And generally, they are a culmination of something that was began with the new moon in that sign, which was November 1st, 2024, when we had a new moon in Scorpio. Now, interestingly, May is actually quite quiet, especially mid-month, compared to March and April, which were kind of insane. I mean, lots of eclipses, and April, we had a ton of planets and points in gate 36, which is called the gate of crisis. I've talked about that at length in my previous videos. Now we just have the North Node here, which is still a point there, but it's not as intense. So May feels like kind of this ability to pause. And I think it's really important that we're in a reflective space to be able to integrate and see what this understanding really is. And of course, I'll talk about this in a little bit. Venus is still conjunct Neptune in Aries, but it is separating, and I already have a video about that. And Mars and Pluto are still in a wide opposition at this point. So I already have a video about that as well. Actually, a couple videos about that. But this is important because Mars and Pluto are the rulers of this moon, right? They're the rulers of Scorpio. On top of this, Pluto is freshly retrograde, which I just talked about that. And I think that's an important aspect. And I'm going to briefly just discuss some of the things we talked about in that video, but if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend that you do. Because Pluto is retrograde and is a ruler of this moon, there may be something about the past that is coming back up during this time that we may be receiving some sort of insight about. When I talked about the Pluto retrograde, I talked about how it's happening in the gate of decrease, hexagram 41, gene key 41, gate 41, and how we are being asked to really conserve our energy and not have it be sent out to too many places, and rather either put our energy fully towards something that we know has the potential to grow, but if we're not quite there yet, pulling back our energy and allowing that unseen energy to gather and to be prepared to meet the correct opportunity when the time comes. It's more that there's an emphasis that we're letting go of areas that we have put our energy in that are no longer showing that they have signs of being successful or fruitful, even if that's only temporarily. Gate 41 is also about chasing fantasies and desires. So once again, it's really important for us to understand that when we have too many desires and too many fantasies, we either suppress them or we start chasing all of the ones that we have, but then we never really know which ones are the correct ones, and then we look back at our lives and we haven't really achieved anything. What is actually worth pursuing for me? What is actually worth going towards? And what does that mean I have to leave behind so I can more fully experience this desire rather than trying to half-ass every desire that comes about? As I mentioned in that video, my natal Saturn is in gate 41. So I've learned a lot of painful lessons around this. And so I'm very passionate about helping people understand this aspect of their lives. Now let's get into the nitty gritty. This moon is in Scorpio, conjunct Juno, opposite Sun, Uranus, Algol. Now, this is the last time that Sun, Uranus will join in Taurus for 84 years, meaning that this is the last time that they're going to be also joining with Algol. Now, Algol is quite destabilizing, and Uranus is also quite destabilizing. So what I could see this as is shocking or unexpected changes to prior commitments that we've made, because Juno is commitment. And yes, she deals with much more than commitment, but the way that I see this playing out with this full moon is that we are being illuminated to prior contracts that we've made that are no longer in alignment. And this can be actual contracts, right? And we'll talk about this in all signs, or it can be dynamics that we are no longer engaging in because they are not fulfilling our soul's growth. There can be epiphanies and breakthroughs because of Uranus here. Uranus is electrifying. So there can be this sense of anxiety and worry around this time. Now, when I did the tarot card reading, this did come up. And I actually saved the advice. I didn't pull any advice cards. We're going to pull them together because I think that sometimes that just brings a different energy. But when I looked at the obstacles were very much around mental anxiety and worry. So this is something that Uranus can bring up quite often. So you can expect disruptive changes and understand, what I always say about the work that I do is that even though I give predictions, my desire to be here doing this with you guys is not to predict your lives or to tell you what's going to happen out in the world, but rather to help you navigate the unknown and the uncertainties of life with a new sense of resolve, a new understanding, a new perspective, because ultimately what's going on out in the world will just happen. And if we're sitting there waiting for certain things to happen, we're not being in the present. And when we're not in the present, we don't get to actually enjoy our lives. And so much of what we are meant to do is to enjoy this short ride of a life that we have and to give back something of value. But when we are caught up in what's happening out there and desiring to see what's out there, we are never going to fully feel joy, and we are not able to give things of true value to the world because our energy is too scattered. So much of the work that I do with my clients and here on this channel is to help us bring that energy back inward and recognize that we cannot save the world if our own lives are falling apart, if we cannot deal with the uncertainties that life brings us. So this full moon could be disruptive. And I think that that's exactly what some of us need. I've talked about this often, but the Scorpio parts of our chart, along with Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius, are fixed areas of our chart. They're not areas that we like to change. We like to keep the stability at all costs. And sometimes that means that even if we're uncomfortable, the discomfort feels more familiar than a change of scenery would, than a change would. And so sometimes astrology comes in, the cosmos, the planets, give us a helping hand and say, hey, we're going to disrupt this for you. And it feels really crappy sometimes. I could see this for a lot of us, releasing emotional bonds to someone, some place, some dynamic, and releasing the burdens of our past so that we can move forward. And there could even just simply be an illumination to some sort of commitment to this person or this place or this experience or whatever. And this doesn't necessarily mean that we have to let go of anything. Maybe this disruption, this insight, this breakthrough helps us see that actually we want to deepen this commitment, that actually this is a fruitful commitment and we want to deepen it and expand upon it. It doesn't necessarily just have to be about releasing, but full moons tend to kind of lean that way. So I'd like to read from Ren Butler's The Archetypal Universe about what he says when Sun, Uranus, and Moon come together. He says, a brilliant and exciting vitality, creative freedom and originality, natural spontaneity and aliveness, radiant enthusiasm for life. Now, some of the negative things could be manic hyperactivity and impulsiveness, willful eccentricity and unpredictability, and unwillingness to cooperate or compromise with others. Now, the first part where it says creative freedom and originality actually come through quite strongly in the gene keys as well as the Sabian symbol. So I just wanted to say those are some of the things, the themes that we could be seeing with this Sun Uranus opposing the moon. Now we have to remember that the moon is in her fall in Scorpio, right? Like she doesn't like being here. The moon likes comfort. The moon likes harmony and security, which is why she is at home in Cancer and exalted in Taurus. When Pluto comes into the realm of the moon, it demands transformation, and it's like taking that security blanket out from under her. She doesn't like it. Scorpio is the underworld. It is our subconscious. It is mortality. It's depth, transformation. And we need Scorpio to get us outside of our comfort zones. We need Scorpio to do this for us so that we can grow, so that we can evolve. Like the phoenix rising out of its ashes, Scorpio reminds us that death is actually what makes life worth living. Remembering our mortality is an invitation day to day, moment to moment, to live more fully in this moment. And that's what Scorpio wants us to see during this time. That what makes something beautiful is the fact that it will soon die and that it won't be here forever. And so how can we see the beauty in that too? How can we see the comfort in that as well? Now, during this time, Pluto is squaring Mercury. This could be like there's secrets coming out, power struggles within communication. There's a deeply investigative energy with these two. When I speak of secrets, sure, it could be actual secrets, but a lot of times they're secrets from our own subconscious. And we can also say that these are called breakthroughs, insights, revelations, right? This is kind of the lightning bolt that we get, and it's a secret being revealed to us about ourselves and about what we're doing in the world. Mercury Pluto can be quite difficult, but I always talk about how I have a Mercury opposition that's quite tight. Mercury Pluto opposition in my chart that's quite tight. And I credit this to healing my autoimmune disorders when I was 18. I just became so obsessive about figuring out how I could heal my own body that I actually did it in a very short time frame as well. And so this energy can actually be used to push us towards growth, to figure something out, see the root in something underneath the message that we are hearing or seeing out in the world. What is actually underneath that? So even though this is a tense aspect, it's actually quite helpful, in my opinion, for really getting to the root of the matter. What's actually happening here? What does this actually mean for my life? And of course, we'll go more into depth about this in your all signs. Now, what's interesting about this is the Scorpio full moon is happening in the decan 3 of Scorpio, which is ruled by the 7 of Cups. And this 7 of Cups is very much like gate 41. It's fantasy, imagination, sometimes confusion as well. And this is also very similar to this Venus-Neptune conjunction that I talked about recently, right? It's romantic and artistic, but can be ungrounded or illusory in some ways, right? It can be getting lost in fantasy and imagination. I could also see this as some sort of a misguided effort to be grasping to things that were once beautiful but no longer are. To have this idea of clinging to a glamorous past, a glamorous memory that is no longer working, whose moment has actually passed. So once again, this is the release that may need to happen around this time. The best way to really use this energy is to create, is to make art, read poetry, write poetry, dance, to really allow ourselves to immerse ourselves in the natural world and to create something from the emotions that we're feeling. But creativity can also come about in a much different way. And this is where the gene key and the Sabian symbol come in. The Sabian symbol for 23 degrees of Scorpio is a bunny metamorphosed into a fairy. The key word is transition. The theme is the magic of imagination. So much like the 7 of Cups, right? This symbol speaks to creativity, imagination, and personal meanings. The image of a bunny metamorphosed into a fairy suggests enchantment, magic, and the transformation of reality through supernatural powers of the mind. So creativity doesn't just have to be in our physical form of art, right? People think painting and whatever, but it can be creative solutions, creative thinking. Implicit in this symbol is the ability of every individual to enhance his enjoyment of life by changing the way he views the world in which he lives. This is what I was talking about earlier, about how it's not about predicting what happens out here, but working on how do we meet experiences from different perspectives to enhance enjoyment of life. At its highest, the symbol represents personal growth and development through the power of positive thinking and creative visualization. The negative is dissociation or escape from reality through unhealthy fantasies and delusion. The gate of fantasy is being activated here, right? So the accent is on transformation and change. You could be shocked or surprised by something that happens today. Look for the highest and best in others. Find the hidden promise in all things and nurture it. Think in terms of possibilities. Now, if there's one thing that I'm good at, it's about shifting perspectives. I'm good at seeing things in a different way and helping other people see the different possibilities than what they're currently seeing. So this is exactly where my expertise lies and what I love to work with. Enchantment, magic, and transformation of reality through supernatural powers of the mind. And this isn't as simple as, oh, manifestation, and I'm going to sit in front of my mirror and tell myself I'm rich until it comes true, right? I always talk about that there needs to be a balance of faith and work. It can't just be one or the other, in my opinion. If you want to actually transform your life, it is very much possible. I have done it in multiple ways, in multiple arenas of my life, and how we can, refine and transmute our basic animal instincts into understanding that we are actually the people who control our own reality, but we cannot control the external reality, but how we perceive it all. And so that gives us great power, actually. It's very, very powerful when you start getting into these, this understanding and not just reading about it or hearing about it, but experiencing it in your own life. Now, in human design, this is happening in gate 43, line 4, which is the gate of insight. And actually, this full moon illuminates the whole channel, the channel of structuring from gate 43 to gate 23, from the ajna to the throat. Now, I have this full channel, and actually this is more of a common channel to have because of the way the Rave Mandala is set up in human design. This sits in the ajna. We call this the genius to freak channel. And it's about receiving insights from the ajna, which is similar to the third eye in the traditional 7 chakra system, which means that it's not from the mind. It's not logical. It's coming from something outside of us or some intuitive capability that is beyond the logical mind. And so what I always tell people who have this channel is that the number one thing that we need to develop in this is trust. Because a lot of times the things that come through, the insights that come through, that's why it's called genius to freak. And there's other reasons why I'm not going to go super into it, but it's because of it's a projected channel, blah, blah, blah. But one of the things is that a lot of times the insight comes through and it doesn't make sense. So these breakthroughs that come, these revelations that come from Uranus, they're not going to make sense, right? This is something that is jolting us awake. In the gene key, it moves from the shadow of deafness to the gift of insight to the city of epiphany. We move through these long periods of time where there's seemingly nothing changing. And then we experience something that just changes our lives. I've noticed this a lot in doing spiritual work or even meditations. Like you meditate for like 2 months every day and you're like, nothing's happening. And then bam, mindfulness. You're going to therapy, working on something and for years, and then nothing changes. And then all of a sudden, bam, something changes, something shifts. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to change our lives because that's a decision you have to make, right? The breakthrough comes and you have to choose to accept it and act on it. But the breakthroughs themselves can be life-altering. And this is something that could be happening to us during this time. This gene key, Richard Rudd talks about how it's about surprises, but it won't reveal its secrets to a mind that is unwilling to be surprised. This is what I was saying earlier. It's like, how do we then bring these surprises in these insights and allow them to actually hit us? If you are too stubborn, controlled, or contrived in the mind, you are not going to be able to accept the gift of this insight. how do we work on relaxing the mind and becoming more receptive to what is coming in so that we can be surprised, so we can be shocked? This gene key is actually connected to the gene key 23, right? And the gift of gene key 23 is simplicity. So this insight is actually meant to simplify your life. It's meant to make your life more efficient. This is really what this channel is about, the channel of structuring. It's about efficiency and creating systems that make your life easier, actually. In this current situation that you're in, a breakthrough can transform a closed door into an open door. Now, let's get to the tarot. The cards that I got for the obstacles were the 10 of Swords and the 7 of Swords. So remember I was saying that these cards are often about some sort of a mental anguish that we're dealing with. They're swords. This is the mind, communication. What the first thing I felt was that there could be painful endings because of insights around lies, betrayals, or deceptions. I think 7 of Swords is actually one of the most misunderstood cards in the tarot, because it's often talked about like, oh, people are betraying you, people are lying to you, there's deception around you. And like I said, there could be painful endings because of insights around this. So it's not that that's false, but I think there's a bigger meaning to this card that is often missed, which is that oftentimes these lies, these deceptions, and these betrayals are self-induced. This breakthrough that you could be having could be showing you that you've actually been in denial about something. You've been avoiding something. And oftentimes we do this on a subconscious level, especially when it comes to Scorpio. You've been fooling yourself without even maybe knowing it. And so this is why it's imperative to have compassion for ourselves all the time, because a lot of the actions that we take out in the world where we're like, why do I keep doing this? Like, why am I stuck in this pattern? Like, and by the way, I just want to mention, I had that form that I did for Pluto retrograde in that video, and I had to close it down pretty quickly, but I loved that you guys loved that. I did like a little form, if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, that just asked a few simple questions to kind of see my insights around why people were feeling stuck. And I'm really glad that you guys loved it. And I plan on introducing it again possibly in a different way, but yeah. I'll definitely keep you guys in touch about that. But I just want to say, appreciate you guys sending in your forms and all that. Anyway, it just reminded me, because it's like, that was the reason I made that form, was because I felt like we're a lot of us are doing this in an unconscious way, right? Or a subconscious way, where we are just circling these same patterns over and over again. And we're not even realizing, like, why am I doing this to myself, right? Like, why am I doing this? Like, I don't like this, but I keep doing it. So this is the kind of insight that we could have, is like, oh my God, I just realized I've been doing this to myself. Like, I had an insight around this just a few days before this full moon. And it was something that someone had pointed out to me, but I was like, no, that's not me. That's not me. I don't know what you're talking about. I was like defensive. And then when I reflected upon it, I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize that I was doing those things in very sneaky ways, right? Because that's the way the subconscious works. It isn't, and this is sometimes the hard part about doing the work that I do, because like I point things out to people, and most people are generally receptive, especially the people that come to me. But often, it's like, it happens to me, it happens to all of us, where we kind of see that we didn't even realize that we were hurting ourselves or doing things to hurt others without meaning to. This could even show up as like self-deception through avoiding or evading true responsibility in your life, or a necessary confrontation. So once again, this card is not that it's wrong. It could definitely be lies, deception, betrayal from externally, but a lot of times it's internal. And the 10 tells us that, it could be two things, right? We could be feeling this painful ending, or we could be feeling that the insight that we get around this evasion that we've been doing of responsibility brings an end to our own suffering. And so this can actually be, even though this doesn't look very good, if you traditionally read tarot, you're like, it can actually be very, very powerful and very, very positive. The 7 is also about being adaptable and resilient and resourceful. This kind of goes more with the theme of the Pluto retrograde that I talked about in my video, do more with less. You're being asked to become really resourceful with what you do have to make the changes that you want to make. So it may feel like the money's not there, the support's not there, and the energy is asking you, what can you do with what you have though? And that's where the power is. So there's so many different ways that we can deal with this, but remember that the swords, I feel, are picking up on the anxiety of Uranus, and that channel 2343 that goes from the ajna to the throat, the ajna is anxiety as well. We have to kind of trust and do our work that helps us ground us in the moment to not get carried away with that anxiety. Now let's do the advice for this full moon in Scorpio. I actually did also do an advice in the all signs, so that will be good. The moon. Okay, let's see if we get anything else. And as always, if you guys are wanting to work with me one-on-one, I have my link in the description down below. I've been getting some really amazing clients recently, so I just love that. All right, let's see anything else. Queen of Pentacles. So to me, the advice here is literally what I've been saying, which is trust your intuition. The moon is actually a Neptunian card, meaning that there is this, on the negative side, it could be that we are getting there's information that's being hidden from us. And on the positive side, it's saying trust your intuition. Know that there is something greater that's happening, but then the Queen of Pentacles is also saying to keep yourself grounded during this time, to understand that there is this balance that's required of us. And I think honestly what this is really saying is that in order to avoid the pitfalls of the moon, the pitfalls of 7 of Cups, of getting lost in the imagination, getting lost in the fantasy of what should be or what could be in a way that's unhealthy, the Queen of Pentacles is reminding us to stay grounded in the material world. How can we bring a practical approach to our intuition? And this could look like so many different things. Like, I think the number one thing I think of immediately is having someone in your life whom you really trust to bounce ideas off, right? We don't just take advice blindly, but saying, hey, this is how I'm seeing this situation. Like, what do you see in this? You know, this is the power of having just something reflected back to you. And especially around this time, because there's so much possibility for this insight to come through other people, because it's an opposition that's happening, and oppositions generally bring things from other people. It could be that somebody's reflection back to you is what snaps you into this understanding. And I actually loved the fact that the form that I did it for Pluto retrograde, but it came out like I sent out the voice notes days before this full moon. And so I wonder if for some of you guys, like, that was something that you needed to see in a different way, which would be really awesome. If you feel like that's you, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. Yeah. Bottom of the deck is a 9 of Wands. I know we're tired. I know we're weary. I know we've been going through a lot. Like I said, the last 5 years have been intense, but specifically the last several months with the eclipses, I always find like eclipse season is just a big upheaval. There's a lot of things happening. It's busy. Take advantage of the quietness right now. Take advantage of the quiet, get grounded, get in touch with your intuition, get reflection from a trusted source if you feel like that's going to help you remain grounded in any decisions that you're making during this time. And remember that you are always doing your best. This Venus-Neptune conjunction for me, once again, is just so much about acceptance, of our own pain and loving ourselves through what we have done that doesn't make sense to us. And yeah, I just really want to emphasize that we're all in this together. We really are. So we're gonna go into the all signs. So some of the questions I'm gonna be asking for the all signs: where is there a culmination from your life from around November 2024 when we have the new moon in Scorpio? Where are you releasing around commitments emotionally, energetically, or physically in the Scorpio part of your chart, right where this full moon is? What is being illuminated to you in this part of your chart as well? And then the Sun Uranus algol in the Taurus part of your chart is bringing some sort of a shocking insight or possibly anxiety or both. And that's being reflected back in the Scorpio part of your chart. So we're going to go through that in the all signs, and I will see you guys there.
For my Aries sun, moon, and rising, this full moon is happening in your eighth house. The eighth house is a house of transformation, the give and take in relationships, deep emotional intimacy. This is a psychological house, so a lot of psychological healing happens here. It's mystical, it's about shared resources, other people's money and inheritances, death and rebirth, and the transformations in our lives. And this is also a house of breaking addictive cycles. It's a moksha house, right? So it is about liberation in some sense. And it's also a house that is very secretive and private to most of us. So for you guys, this is highlighting very deep emotional transformations that are happening. Now, this could be a culmination from around November of 2024 when we had a new moon in this part of your chart. Something could be changing around shared finances and shared resources. There could be, like I said, deep psychological healing that's happening and coming to a head. You're recognizing that something needs to change for you guys during this time regarding some sort of healing or something within a deep partnership or how you relate to people on a very deep emotional level. Intimacy is so nuanced because we sometimes block intimacy without even understanding that we're blocking true intimacy with somebody else. But this could also look like shared resources that are changing. That means maybe borrowing money from people or having to give money to others in order to make something kind of possible for you during this time. We've got Mercury squaring Pluto. So, yeah, this definitely feels like for you guys, there's some financial investments involved or changes because you also have during this time, Sun, Algol, Uranus conjunction happening in your second house of finances. And the eighth house is also a financial house. So this could very much be about your values versus values in a relationship, the give and take in relationships, yes, but also this could have a lot to do with how does that also intertwine with financial matters. There could be, like I said, changes happening within established partnerships or financial scenario. So business partnerships, things are changing. But when we have Sun Uranus algol conjunction, this is the last time we're going to have the Sun Uranus conjunct algol in for 84 years. This is kind of really pushing you to not only destabilize the current way that you make money, but also possibly destabilize your current value system and make you have to see and appreciate different values about yourself to really awaken your self-esteem in a new way, your feeling of self-worth in a new way. And during this time, your guys' ruler, Mars, is in the fifth house. So, getting creative, having new ideas about self expression and creativity in order to kind of make all this happen. And because that Mercury Pluto square is happening in your 11th house, and Pluto is in a wide now opposition with Mars, there is still this feeling of like, how do I belong with the group? How do I belong in the world? And how do I express myself in a way that's true and authentic to me while feeling like I'm in the right community and then somehow feeling like how do I make money from this or how do I find a sense of value in offering what I want to offer the world. You've got Neptune in your sign. This is really going to add a different dimension to all Aries. I just have this feeling that Yeah, Aries are going through this massive transformation. I'm going to have a video talking about Saturn moving into Aries soon as well. And then at some point, talking about Saturn and Neptune being in Aries together. This is a massive transformation that's happening for you guys. But during this time, I think the Sun Uranus algal conjunction is really trying to honestly destabilize some aspect of how you make money. And so a lot of times with this energy, it can actually kind of feel quite there can be a lot of anxiety around financial matters and feeling like can I actually make this happen, or am I value do I have enough self-worth to do this thing that I want to do. And like I said, it could literally just be that you're concerned if you can make money doing what you want to do, or you're just having concerns around money right now. And I think the biggest thing during this time is you're going to have to let go of some emotional baggage with the eighth house culmination, fruition, release that's happening here. There's some commitment that you have to maybe outdated emotional dynamics, maybe even power struggles that we have around vulnerability and making ourselves really be seen by others. And I think that's really the biggest thing that I would say for you guys as an advice is, where can you release outdated commitments to relating to others in a way that is no longer going to be effective for your own sense of value, but also for this new financial venture that you may be going on, this new way of making money, in a way of that doesn't completely let go of your sense of community and belonging, right? Because it's squaring Pluto in the 11th house, Mercury squaring Pluto in the 11th house, and Mars is also looking. So this Pluto for you guys is still in play here, and it's kind of playing a big role in how you're wanting to play, how you're wanting to make money. And I talked about Pluto being retrograde in Aquarius, so make sure you check that out to see kind of how this is coming up for you guys. Some old ideas maybe coming back up around community and belonging, and that is making you understand that there is a new way of making money that is coming up. And like I said, because this Sun Uranus algal conjunction, this is the last one we're going to have with all those three together for 84 years. It really is trying to bring a sense of like some shocking insights and around finances and vulnerability and intimacy, and really going to be pressuring you into, yeah, letting go of this old emotional baggage that has been holding you back from really seeing your worth and what kind of value you can bring to communities.
Hey Aries, I decided to do some tarot cards for the other signs and missed your guys' sign, so I didn't want you to feel left out. And what I pulled for you guys is actually the Knight of Cups and the Six of Pentacles. Now, the Six of Pentacles is one that I've gotten quite a bit here. And because this is happening in the house of give and take, I feel like it's coming very strongly for you guys that there is some sort of karmic rebalancing in relationships and in shared financial resources. But the Knight of Cups is also emphasizing that there is an emotional change that is asking to happen, a new way of being emotionally in the world as well. So I just wanted to emphasize the points that the tarot made, but I feel like we already discussed those at great length in your reading as well.
Let me know how this resonates for you guys. If you guys are wanting to work deeper one-on-one with me, I have readings available in the description below. I'll see you guys next time. For my Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this full moon is happening in your seventh house of Scorpio. So this is about relationship dynamics being illuminated to you guys. And this is a lot. Your ruler is currently in the 12th house. And so there is a lot of deep healing that is occurring subconsciously. The 12th house is a liberation house, it's a moksha house. So there is a sense that you could be going through some sort of a loss or grieving something. If you're not feeling that, it could just be that there is a spiritualization happening in your relationships, your relationship dynamics as well. And there is kind of this like deepening of a bond, of a soul connection. But a lot of times when Venus goes in the 12th, and it's because it's your ruler, it does kind of bring this very healing, meditative quality. You're probably going to be wanting to spend more time alone than normal during this time. But this full moon in the seventh house is kind of a fruition, a culmination to something that was began in around November of last year, November 1st, when we had the new moon, but it could have been after that as well, November, December, that is now coming to a head. And you may even be getting some shocking insights around you and who you want to be and how you want to look at the world and how that is going to play into this release that you're having. I mean, with Juno here and the moon being reflected by Sun algal Uranus, and by the way, this Sun algal Uranus in your sign is going to be the last time that we have this configuration in your sign for 84 years. So, especially if you have anything at the latter degrees, so even like 20 to 26, 27, 28 degrees of Taurus, you're definitely going to be feeling this in some powerful way, because this Sun Uranus algal is destabilizing in nature, but it's somehow doing this in order to reflect back that there is some sort of emotional commitment that you have made in your partnerships that is no longer going to be working for you moving forward. Now, this doesn't have to mean that you're actually letting go of a relationship, but rather this is relationship dynamics, right? Because the seventh house is the house of others. It is our interpersonal skills, and it's contracts and business partners as well, one-on-one relationships. So this could even be a way of connecting to your business partner or your friends that you are realizing is no longer working, or you are actually releasing the bond. Now, because the seventh house is the house of others, this could also look like your partner or your friends releasing some sort of an emotional bond or emotional dynamic. And so it could be less about you, it could also be about them. And because you've got Lilith here, your partners and other people that you're attracting in your life are in this phase where they are really desiring to be radically authentic. And maybe this has something to do with what is going on as well, because Lilith is opposing Mercury that's in your sign, and which is also being squared by Pluto in your 10th house. So there's a lot of big players here, right? Like this is a full moon that, like I said, especially within that degree range, is affecting you guys pretty personally. And so this may feel quite personal for you guys during this time. You could have some sort of like a breakthrough in close partnerships, or like I said, an ending. And it's really coming down to boundaries. There could be even emotional vulnerability in a way that you've never done before because of this moon, Juno in your seventh house. You could have some anxiety too with the Sun Uranus algal conjunction, because, like I said, it is destabilizing. So there could be some anxiety and worry about who you are. Maybe if there's relationships that are ending or relationship dynamics, it's kind of mirroring back to you that, like, what does this mean about me now? Like, what does this mean? Who does this make me without this relationship or these relationship dynamics? And then how does that reflect onto my public life, my career life, my public status, right? Your public status could be changing in some way, where you're like changing jobs, you're changing relationship status. There's so many different ways that public status can come into play. So it's not just about career, it's about reputation, it's about legacy as well. And so this is really big for you guys. And so my advice to you during this time is, I feel like you have to really deeply understand that this Sun Uranus algal conjunction being the last time that these three come together is not going to allow you to say the same anymore. And although that can be very destabilizing for a Taurus, I also just feel like you have to trust that this is happening for something that you may not understand yet, but there is an awakening that's happening. There is a breakthrough that's happening in your sense of self and who you are meant to become, that Uranus is like kind of like really illuminating this for you. And that does mean that, you know, in some painful ways, there may be relationships and relationship dynamics that have to end, but ultimately look at, this is about you discovering a new sense of self and really stepping into a new role in the world because of Pluto in the 10th. It's not just about your day to day and how you're showing up, but how you're showing up in the world at large and what you want to offer the world. You're being asked to embody something that may be difficult, but ultimately is something that you are not only gifting yourself, but the world as well. So this kind of, there's a high stake here, it feels like. And with Jupiter going through your second house too, it's still trying to really work on your values. And this is your naturally your house, the second house. So I just feel like this is adding to the sense of like, how big can I be? Like, how big can I allow myself to be during this time? And of course, this is squaring the north node. Yeah, the north node and Saturn in your 11th house. So this is about belonging and community and finding the right groups and social networks that will help you in in starting this kind of new kind of chapter in your life.
So, Taurus, after your guys' sign, I decided to do tarot card readings for everybody. So, I wanted to make sure I come back and do it for you and Aries as well. And for you guys, I got the Nine of Wands, which makes a lot of sense to me with your ruler in the 12th. It feels like you've been at war in some ways. Like, you're tired, and this came up in the reading for the collective as well, and it came up for another sign too. So you're tired, you're weary, but you're almost there. And, when your ruler comes into your sign, it's going to be a game changer and things are going to start feeling a lot different for you. But for right now, there is this emphasis on healing. And so I just want you to know that going into this full moon, that you are almost at the finish line of something. So trying your best to get through if you are having a difficult time, knowing that you're almost there.
Taurus, let me know how this resonates for you guys. If you are interested in working one on one with me, I do have a description down below, and I will see you guys next time. For my Gemini sun, moon, and rising, you guys have this full moon that's happening in Scorpio in your sixth house. Your sixth house is about work, health routines, daily responsibilities. It's about conflict and unequal partnerships. So some sort of inequality can happen here. It's illness really is here, diets, pets. So something around those themes is culminating from around November of 2024. And this is quite interesting for you guys. So you still have Jupiter in your first house, coming almost to a close, right? Jupiter is going to be entering your sign or exiting your sign in June. I believe it's June 9th. And so, how are you going to make use of Jupiter's love and protection during this time and wisdom? Because this could be kind of interesting. When you have this Sun Uranus algal conjunction happening in your 12th house, these are insights and breakthroughs that can come seemingly out of nowhere. And also, what I talked about too, which is that Sun Uranus algal is not going to happen in Taurus in your 12th house for another 84 years. A lot of people talk about this time being kind of difficult when algal and Uranus have been activating your 12th house, because like I said, there's like, not only is it breakthroughs and insights, but it can be anxiety and worry and destabilization and not really understanding where that's coming from and being hard to pinpoint because it's in the 12th house where it's kind of invisible to us. It's hidden in the 12th house. And so you may have some sort of shocking understanding around a health matter, around work. I could see a lot of Geminis releasing work contracts because we've got Juno in the sixth house with the moon here. And it feels like to me that there is this sense that you, even if you're not releasing work contracts, you're releasing a type of way of being at work. Maybe you have a habit of overworking yourself or kind of releasing your emotional boundaries in order to make your boss happy or something around work, health, routines, these commitments that you've made to these emotional commitments, they're going to be under scrutiny during this full moon. And so there may be some sort of toxic day-to-day habits, taking too much responsibility, not taking enough responsibility, that have, like, there's a theme of responsibility that has been unsustainable for you. And this full moon is asking you to release that. And it may come through, like I said, some sort of shocking insight, maybe during your meditation, maybe during your dreams, because the 12th house is the subconscious. So it could come through when you're doing hypnosis or something where you're not really contacting the conscious mind. But this is very much a healing axis. The 6th and 12th house is very much a healing axis. So there could be really beautiful healing event that happens, but it may feel painful because you may realize that you need to let go of a work situation. You may need to let go of a diet or way of living your life, like recognizing that you're living in a way that is unsustainable and your diet and the way you take care of your body and your mind is no longer working. And you need to see it clearly for what it is, that so that you can release this emotional stress that you've been having. It could even be the way that you show up in conflict with other people that you're realizing is causing you a lot of stress. And the sixth house is almost like reflecting back from the 12th, kind of says that sometimes these deep subconscious emotional issues will actually show up in our physical bodies. And you're being kind of asked to see that. And as somebody who's a Gemini sun who is overcome and heal. I don't even say overcome, but I've healed a lot of autoimmune stuff. I've healed chronic pain. I can tell you from my experience working with other people, and my experience with my mentors, that that's very often the case, that these subconscious things resonate on a very physical level. If we keep committing to these old toxic patterns time and time and time again, our bodies will try to send that message to us. And so there's some sort of a balance that is asked for here. Like, are you working too hard? Are you burning yourself out? Are you ignoring your body? Are you ignoring your mind body spirit connection? These are all things that could be coming up during this time. And Jupiter, like I said, is giving you a lot of wisdom and protection to make the decisions that you need to make. Now, your chart ruler Mercury is sitting in your 12th house as well, and it's squaring Pluto, which is in your ninth house, or yeah, on your ninth house. So there is a lot of changes happening around belief systems. This is such a great time to release belief systems around work. So bad habits, work dynamics, that you believe that, oh, I have to work really hard to get where I want to go. Now, you do have to work hard, but there's this sense like you can't just have faith that everything will be okay and not do anything about it. We need to have faith and we need to work, but it doesn't have to feel difficult. Yeah, like you can have more of a balance between your spiritual life and your work life and taking care of your needs and other people's needs. And we are shifting with this Mercury Pluto square. We are being asked to shift our beliefs around this, that we can only get to some place by working really hard in a way that feels uncomfortable to us. And knowing that, like, no, actually, we can work in ways that are very joyful to us. And also, it can be sustainable hard work. So there could be some sort of illumination, like I said, around this dynamic of work and overworking and taking care of your spirit and taking care of your body. When our ruler goes into the 12th house, it can definitely feel like there's more quiet needed. We could be getting more messages from the subconscious in our dreams and through meditation. And I think that beyond releasing bad habits and work dynamics or work situations that are too controlling, right? Because this is Scorpio, or too intense or too restricting, because Uranus is like, nope. Sun Uranus is like, nope. You're going to be asked to release that, but also to really look at your belief systems, I think is a big thing. Let's see if the tarot has anything else for my Geminis. Yeah, see, this is the thing, is like this is spiritual ideas, creative ideas, but to me, I feel like this is the Sun Uranus conjunction in the 12th house, and it can be really destabilizing. And I think more than anybody, Geminis could be feeling the anxiety of this the most because it's in the 12th house, and you're like, where is this coming from? Like, I can't pinpoint where this is coming from. But I think that you're just being asked to trust that whatever is coming up is your intuition trying to lead you into a deeper place of alignment. And so trust the insights that come, trust the ideas that you have, trust the spiritual breakthroughs that come through during this time that don't make logical sense, right? Mercury is the ruler of Gemini and likes for things to make sense. And right now with this 12th house stuff happening, you may not feel like the decisions that you're making are making sense, and that might be exactly what you need. Let me know how this resonates for you guys. If you'd like to work one-on-one with me, I have a link in the description box below. I'll see you guys next time. For Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising, you guys have this full moon happening in your fifth house. Fifth house of creativity, pleasure, joy, entertainment, self-expression, children and childlike joy, your childlike spirit, your inner child. This could also be love life, dating, romance, those types of relationships. So there could be something that is culminating from around November of 2024 regarding those themes that is coming to a head now. And in some ways, you are being asked to release old commitments. This could be to a dating partner or a way of relating to people romantically, but it also could be your sense of self expression. And maybe there is some old way of expressing yourself that is no longer in alignment for you. Maybe you've suppressed your desire for joy and pleasure. You know, a lot of times when we are delving into emotional work, we tend to focus on the pain and suffering that we've been through. But so much of what this life is about learning to reclaim our joy through the suffering, right? And recognizing that just as deeply as we can feel pain and suffering and hurt and betrayal, we can also feel joy, and remembering that that too is an important aspect of our healing process. Letting go of any sort of emotional drama or desire for perfection in relationships or desire for perfection in your creative work is going to be really important, because especially not only this full moon happening in your fifth house, but you're ruled by the moon. So the moon being here just gives even more emphasis on this fifth house, and saying like, you know, there are old outdated beliefs around how we should express ourselves, how we should have fun, how we should enjoy our lives and pleasure and romance and dating and love. And the moon is saying, can we release that? And I think honestly, this could be coming through your friends, someone in your relationship, someone that you have a relationship with, maybe in like a friend group, or that you know in a group setting, someone in your community or in your organization could be saying something or somehow pointing to some sort of a breakthrough for you to realize that you do want to express yourself more authentically, even if it feels scary or very vulnerable for you. This Sun Uranus algol conjunction is the last time that we're going to have it in Taurus for 84 years. So there could be some sort of insight or shock or anxiety around what groups you belong to, what organizations you belong to, how you want to be of service to the world, what people are in your corner and which people are not in your corner. What groups and communities do you belong to? And this is something that could be bringing a lot of anxiety, but it could also be bringing some sort of shocking insight that makes you recognize that, like, maybe you haven't been completely authentic and vulnerable and emotional with the people that you want to connect with, whether that's in a community and friends or whether that's in close partnerships. There is a sense that, yeah, like and with the Lilith here too, this is just adding to this feeling that you're wanting to step out of emotionally restrictive love and romance and creative situations. You want to liberate yourself in a way here, unleash your creativity. Yeah, this is a time for emotional expression. That'd be like my greatest advice: creative and emotional expression. Let's see if the tarot has anything else for my Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Yeah, I mean, come on. Emotional expression. Yes, literally. This is about expressing yourself. So that just kind of amplified that message for you. So Cancers, this is all I got for you today. Please let me know how this resonates. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I'll have that link in the description below, and I'll see you guys next time. My Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This full moon is deep, right? And if you have anything around 20 to even like 28 degrees of Leo, you're going to be feeling this quite intensely because you're a fixed sign. This is happening in your fourth house. Now, what is your fourth house? It's the deepest part of our chart. It's our emotional foundations, our ancestral roots. It's our home life, our private inner life, our relationship with our mother or our parents, our early childhood conditioning. And because this is a full moon, of course, it's highlighting your both parents as well. And yeah, your home life, your family life, real estate, properties, So something around November of 2024 is coming up around those themes to be culminated during this time. When we have this full moon here, when the moon is here with Juno, we are releasing old commitments regarding the fourth house themes, meaning that you could be moving. You could be releasing a way of connecting to your family members. You could be releasing old emotional ways of being in the world. So this could really look like something being disrupted around your home life. So like I said, somebody moving in, somebody moving out, you deciding to go somewhere else or buy a new house or something like that. There's some sort of change happening within your living situation and the dynamics there. So even if the living situation is not changing, the dynamics are changing. Maybe you have some early childhood conditioning that has allowed you to live a certain way within the home and the people that you live with and your family that has been holding you back and has been restrictive in some way. And there is a need for radical authenticity here. We are starting this journey of radical authenticity here of liberation. This is one of the moksha houses. So there can be a painful realization around the way that you have been holding yourself back, right? This is one of the biggest things that I deal with when I work with clients. It's like it's so hard for us, and me included, to recognize that in so many ways we are the people that hold ourselves back because we choose to stay in dynamics that are no longer working, and also are no longer even present in our lives, but we're running these like old patterns. Now, I'm not saying it's our fault, right? This is a big thing that happens. People confuse responsibility with blame, and that's not the energy at all. Things can happen to us and it's not our fault, but it's our responsibility if we want to change the future to take total control over our responses. And that's really all we can control, right? Is our response. So this is kind of a very deep awakening that's happening for us, especially because the sun is conjuncting, which is our ruler, is conjuncting Uranus and Algol for the last time in 84 years in the sign of Taurus, which is our 10th house, a public, visible placement, our legacy, our reputation, our career, our achievements. There is some sort of a destabilizing that's happening here. And so this could look like leaving a career. This could look like leaving a job with, realizing that your job is not correct, or staying in the same career, but moving up or moving down the ladder per se. Something really there, and there could be anxiety around this, right? Like the Sun Uranus Algol conjunction can bring anxiety around the changes that we feel like we have to make, or just general anxiety around knowing that like we need to step into a new role. We've got Mars in the first house with a loose opposition now to Pluto still, which has gone retrograde, which I made a video about, which I really recommend you guys listen to because it's very important for you. So our Mars in our sign is saying like, how are you going to show up in the world? What actions are you going to take? And we're seeing that this is very much kind of relating to our career and our home life and our relationships, right? This is why this is a very impactful full moon for us. So there could be family dynamics that resurface. Allow them to come to a close. Allow them to end here, to end these energetic patterns, because you have a purpose that needs to be realized, right? And we can't, if we're dealing with old, outdated patterns from emotional dynamics that are no longer actually present in our lives, right? Even if you have those relationships with people like your family members, those dynamics that you've held on to from since you were a child, those have changed, but we hold on to them, right? Like the area where we have Scorpio or any fixed placement is where we hold on to things that no longer work, but we feel like we need them for security and safety. And I'm asking you, can you create a new way of security and stability in your home life, in your internal world, that can allow you to catapult to great heights in your career and your legacy and your reputation? So create some space, create room in your life for what truly supports you, what truly brings stability and security for you. Let's see if the Taurus, if the tarot has anything. Success. This is material success. This is really important. You've got Saturn and North Node in the eighth house as well, and then the South Node in the second. So, yeah, once again, I feel like there is a release of a job. There is a release of some way of making money in order to have true success. There is a balance that needs to happen as well. So, like maybe you've been neglecting your home life and not really paying attention to your career, or paying too much attention to your career and not too much enough to your home life, because this can be kind of give and take as well. But I think for you guys, and this could be in happening relationships too, because you've got Pluto in the seventh, but this is a pentacle card. And so I do feel like this is about, in some ways, success materially for you. There's some sort of like, I just heard that there's some sort of like karmic rebalancing that has to happen regarding success and finances for you, and that this shocking insight that you're getting, this destabilization or whatever is happening in the 10th house, this breakthrough that you're having, is actually like a karmic realignment, because you've got this North Node and Saturn in the eighth house, which is about karmic give and take. So allow whatever rebalancing needs to happen, whether in your emotional relationships or a financial situation, allow it to happen and trust your gut. There is no real like, this insight may not be logical, so trust yourself, because deep inner healing is possible now that can catapult you to a new sense of a new level of success, and maybe redefining what success is for you as well. So Leos, let me know how this resonates. If you guys want to work one-on-one with me, I can't say that today. I have the link in the description down below. I'll see you guys next time. For my Virgo sun, moon, and rising, this full moon is happening in your third house. The third house is about communication. It's your immediate surroundings. It's your neighbors, siblings, cousins. It's kind of the immediate bubble that you live in. Communication, like I said, thoughts, words, speech, skills, learning, our mindset. So something from around November 2024 to now is culminating in that part of your chart. Maybe you were taking a class and now it's coming to an end. Maybe you were wanting to learn a new skill and now you've actually learned it. This is a time of culmination and fruition, but also some sort of closure and endings could be happening here. I think for you guys, this could feel like there are changes happening in your immediate environment. So this could be like people moving in, people moving out, you going from working from home and like increasing your day-to-day trips or something. There could be intense communication that's happening. With Lilith here too, and Juno, it feels like there's some sort of emotional attachment to a communication style that's coming to an end. And you're desiring to be very authentic in how you express yourself. And this is because there's some sort of liberation that is wanting to happen through your mindset. So old thought patterns or toxic communication patterns, these could come up. And they're asking for release. They're asking for you to release any emotional commitment you have to these old toxic speech and idea patterns. This also, because it's a third house of speech, could feel like there are like secrets coming out. Now, this could actually be secrets, but for me, when I think about secrets, especially because Mars is in your guys' 12th house, I think of secrets being revealed to ourselves generally. So it's not so much like a big secret is being told. Maybe that could happen, but it's more that we are being something is being revealed to us that helps us make new choices. And for you guys, the Sun Algol Uranus conjunction in Taurus is happening opposite this in the ninth house. And this is the last time we're going to have Sun Uranus Algol in your ninth house for 84 years. So this is kind of the last hurrah to try to get some shocking insight, some breakthrough around your belief systems, around maybe a mentor or a guide or a teacher will tell you something that kind of releases you, that allows you to release these toxic patterns that we were talking about in the third house. This could also be that, you're recognizing that you want to expand your horizons and maybe travel more, or release some sort of living situation or thinking patterns, like I said, in order to be more exploratory out in the world. So this could be something like that coming up as well. With your ruler Mercury being in the ninth house as well, I really just want to say, and it's squaring Pluto in your sixth. So this is, I could see for a lot of you guys, something around conflict, There could also be belief systems that need to be changed or released around a work situation or health. So maybe there is a more expansive understanding of what it means to be healthy, have a good mind body connection. If you're in a work situation that is overly controlling, this might be changing your beliefs about that, your mindset about what it feels like to, about what it means to, I heard be successful, but I don't even know if it's about being successful. Like, it's more about, to me, what you guys feel like redefining what feels expansive to you, what feels true to you, what feels like purpose in your life, and less like frivolities. I could say with this, like letting go of old obsessive overthinking or the need to like understand or know everything could be coming up. Virgos have incredible minds being ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is exalted in your sign. It's not only in domicile, but it's exalted here. So Mercury loves understanding things and knowing the details and knowing the facts. And right now, I think you're being asked to maybe admit that maybe you're not going to know how every little detail is going to pan out, but you're really focused on expansion, releasing some of your expectations and having more faith in the world. Let's see if the tarot has anything for my Virgos. Wow. This is definitely having to do with relationships for you guys. There's a major decision that you have to make. It doesn't have to be in relationships, but the North Node and Saturn are in your seventh house, of course. So this could be about, and then you've got Venus, Neptune in your eighth house, which I've talked about. I'm going to make a video about Saturn moving there and also Neptune, because this is really big for you guys. This is about emotional vulnerability. This is about revealing yourself truly to another being. And this is really what the Lover's card for me is about. Beyond the fact that it is about making a decision, it's also about true intimacy with one another. It's about true balance and harmony and understanding what does it really look like when we are deeply intimate with somebody else. So I think that what this card is trying to emphasize during this is that number one, you maybe need to make a really big decision. And it could be around relationships, yes, but I think for a lot of you guys, it's about the third house things I mentioned, about learning how to speak your truth with love and intention and letting go of these old communication patterns that have not been working for you. And, not allowing this like mental anxiety or this clutter of obsessive thought loops distract you from what really, really matters in life to you. But I also think, like I said, that this is about learning how to really become vulnerable with another being. Virgos, let me know how this resonates for you guys. I'd love to hear your comments down below. If you'd like to work with me, I have a link in the description as well. I'll see you guys next time. My Libra sun, moon, and rising. This full moon is happening for you guys in your second house. The second house is a house of money, values, self-esteem, self-worth. It's your material possessions. It's also the type of food you eat, so things that you put in your mouth. So yeah, money, values, self-worth, self-esteem, they're definitely coming into focus here during this full moon. And maybe something that was happening around those themes back in November of 2024 is coming to a culmination or a completion, fruition of some sort. This could look like, you were applying for jobs and now you have one, or you started a business, now you have one. But it also could be a release of old commitments to making money, right? Because we've got Juno here. So it feels like to me, like there could be this feeling that I feel like for a lot of you guys, this could be letting go of an income source that is no longer aligned, especially because we've got this Saturn North Node that is trine this moon, and it's in your sixth house of work environment, health as well. So maybe you're recognizing that certain ways of making money are actually like hurting your health and you need to let them go. But this could also just be money dynamics. So it doesn't necessarily have to be letting go of something, but letting go of some aspect of a relationship to money, how you spend it, how you make it, recognizing that maybe you've been overly tightly controlling your resources, or you're in a financial situation that you have felt has been very tightly controlled and you're wanting to break free of that. Yeah, so like to me, this is very much about confronting some sort of a scarcity mindset. And with the Sun Uranus algol conjunction in the eighth house, the last time we're going to have Sun Uranus with algol for 84 years, there's some sort of a breakthrough happening around feeling supported by others. Knowing that this scarcity mindset that you have, this like belief that you have to figure this out all on your own, is something that you've created, because we don't have to do it all on our own. I mean, look at your seventh house, number one. You've got Venus, Chiron, and Neptune here. And then you've got this conglomerate of planets in your eighth house. So this is just pointing to the fact that like you don't need to do it by yourself. And if you believe that, then you've been kind of keeping yourself in this financial dependency around that dynamic. Reach out for help. See if others can support you emotionally or financially if you're needing that right now. What truly like is valuable to you? Like this could be very empowering for getting very clear about your values, about how you want to make money, and seeing what truly supports that, because you've got Lilith here as well. Like I said, your ruler Venus is in the seventh house, so there is an emphasis on other people right now. There could be, yeah, definitely some changes happening in your relationships. That doesn't have to be just romantic. This could be one-on-one friendships, business partnerships as well. And maybe you redefining your sense of self-worth and clearing your financial fears are changing the dynamics between you and a partner. And this could be, like I said, friendships, but it could also be like people that you share money with. So emotional partnerships or business partnerships as well. And looking to them for support in ways that you haven't had, and really rebalancing a sense of give and take, right? The eighth house is a house of give and take. So, and it can be karmic give and take sometimes too. So recognizing that during this time, like if you are having to ask for help, know that this might be like kind of a karmic rebalancing that's happening in the world, that maybe you've been giving, 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 and now it's time for you to receive. And that's equally as important in the world. We don't often talk about that. Everyone wants you to be generous with how you give, but you need to be generous with how well you receive as well, because the two go hand in hand together. Are you clinging to something that's outdated because of a sense of security? And where can you kind of thrust yourself into the unknown transformation of the eighth house? There may be a shocking insight or revelation around shared resources. Your partner or someone that you share resources with could tell you something, or could decide to do something for you that could be very helpful. So I would say the biggest advice for you guys is to release the scarcity mindset if that's there, or material attachments that don't actually align with your values and where you are right now. Let's see if, and for you guys, this is just going to, once again, I've said this to you guys recently, but I need to emphasize that this is going to require you guys to kind of plunge into the unknown, right? And like really allow transformation to happen in ways that you may not have ever been able to think about. I feel like you guys are tired. I feel like you guys are feeling worn down. This is also like a sign that of like competition, or feeling like there is some sort of competition. And maybe this is pointing to this Venus and Aries in your seventh. Like maybe partnerships going fine, but Venus and Aries can be kind of feisty. So maybe you are having people in your life that are kind of in their feisty mode right now. But this is telling me that you guys were really tired, that you feel like you've been fighting this like battle for a while. And maybe this is around money, maybe this is around work, maybe this is around relationships. I do have a sense that it's more around money, but it could definitely be around relationships too. But the nine always tells me that you're almost there. You're almost at the peak, at the end of something. So it's asking you to not quite give up yet. and doing what you need to do in order to feel like, yeah, I think this is the biggest thing with this card for me right now is that I want you guys to know that what you're putting in may not have tangible results quite yet, but it will. And you are being asked to be very, very patient during this time. All right, Libras, let me know how this resonates for you guys. I'd love to hear in the comments down below. If you'd like to work with me personally, my link is in the description for that. I'll see you guys next time. For my Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising, you guys have this full moon happening in your first house. The first house is a house of your attitude, your physical body, your personality, your appearance, your identity, your approach to life. So this is a big house, and especially if you have anything around 20 to 28 degrees of Scorpio, especially around the full moon's happening at 22 degrees. But the Sun Uranus conjunction is a little bit wider. So yeah, around there, last decan of Scorpio, you're going to be feeling this really intensely because it's going to be affecting major areas of your life, right? So you've got this full moon happening in your first and seventh. So your identity and your partnerships and interpersonal dynamics. But then you've also got Mars in your 10th house and Pluto in your fourth, which we've talked about in the video that I did for the new moon in Taurus, where all these houses were also indicated. So this is a big deal for you guys, and you're having a massive transformation. Deep self-awareness is available to you, massive transformation of the self, of how you identify in the world, what you want people to see you as. And the first house is a house of new beginnings as well. So there could be like a new beginning that's happening. And you could be feeling a lot of empowerment because the moon is in your sign. You could also be feeling deeply vulnerable around this time as well. Now you've got the moon sitting with Juno, and that makes me feel like you are releasing old attachments to identities. You are releasing old, outdated outlooks in life, old, outdated attitudes towards life and how you see the world and how the world sees you. And clearly, this is coming either from a partner, a friend, a business partner, romantic partner, anyone outside of you, because the Sun Uranus algal conjunction is happening in your seventh house. And so this could be somebody telling you something or saying something in general that you hear that kind of shocks you into an awakening or a breakthrough regarding how you relate to other people or who you are and how that has influenced your interpersonal dynamics. The seventh house being other people as well can kind of point to the fact that there could be a lot of changes happening in a business partner's life, in a relationship partner's life, a friend's life, because this is the house of other people. So it could be that they're having sudden breakthroughs, they're having sudden insights, and that's somehow reflecting back on you and your character and your identity and who you are. I would treat this moon as a major personal reset for you guys. Now, this could have something to do with something that started around November of 2024 when we had a new moon in your sign, and now it's coming to a culmination, it's coming to a completion, and possibly something's coming to a close. There's just some sort of an ending that's happening or a release that's happening. And like I said, the release, in my opinion, is through these old contracts or commitments to showing up in the world in a certain way or seeing the world in a certain way. This is all changing for you. And because your rulers, both of them are in the 10th, 4th axis, this is something to do with changes in the home life, changes in the deep internal world. You could be going through very deep transformation within yourself and within your home life. So changes there, changes in your career and your public status, your achievements. That's kind of where I could see some of your energy kind of being directed towards right now is like, what do I actually want out of this life? What do I want my reputation to be? What do I want my legacy to be? So yeah, this is really like shedding skin. This is like a snake shedding its skin. That's what it feels like. And because you guys are at a higher level, this phoenix rising out of the ashes, it feels like this is happening on a very personal level for you guys. So any outdated persona or behaviors or attitudes that don't reflect who you are now and who you are becoming will be let go of. And if you can be very emotionally honest with yourself, you are going to feel very, very empowered. And not only being emotionally honest with yourself, but within relationships too, because this is reflecting the seventh house, right? And yeah, Mercury Pluto square means that there are some conversations, Mercury in the seventh, Pluto in the fourth. You're having conversations about other people, about living situations, deep internal emotional foundations. So you could be speaking to someone about, childhood patterns or these deep emotions that you're having, but it could also be that you're having conversations about a living situation with someone close to you or with someone in general, like things are changing. I mean, it's just so clear to me that this could be like a situation where there's a relationship change that's triggering something changing in the home and there's some tension there. Um, yeah, very interesting. Let's see if the tarot has anything else for you guys. Hmm. The Eight of Swords. Yeah, so this is another thing I want to say is that when the Sun Uranus conjunction happens in your seventh, which I don't know if I mentioned for you guys, but this is the last time you'll be happening in your seventh house, Sun Uranus algol for 84 years. So there's some massive changes happening within your partnerships and maybe with the people in your life. There's this feeling that what's changing is not going to go back again. Like there's a finality to a lot of these things. And like it doesn't have to be a finality to an actual relationship. It can be a finality to a certain dynamic within a relationship or within relationships. But the thing about this Sun Uranus algol is that it can bring some destabilization and it can bring some anxiety to this part of your chart. So for you guys, it's relationships and other people in your life. And so this anxiety could be coming through here, like you're feeling like you're stuck somewhere, like there's a outdated personality or outdated persona that you feel like is very restrictive and you feel like you can't move beyond it. And what I'm seeing here is that this is something that is actually able to be changed and moved through, but you are limiting yourself into believing, and obviously we don't do this consciously, right? Like we're not like consciously like, oh, I'm gonna just make myself suffer and stay stuck. Because this is the card of stuckness. This is like the penultimate card of stuckness. And so you're feeling stuck. And this breakthrough that Uranus Sun algol is trying to give you from the realm of relationships and other people is trying to get you unstuck, but you have to be receptive enough to allow that to happen. And I kind of talked about this in the beginning part of the video, so make sure you check that out if you haven't already. But there is there's a feeling that like you need to allow your mind to be receptive to the shocking changes, the insights, the breakthroughs, the revelations that could be happening if you want to get unstuck from where you are now. And you have to be willing to change. And I understand that this is not as easy. It's simple, but it's not easy because you guys are a fixed sign and you've got a lot going on in your angular houses. But there is a sense that relationships are changing for you, and therefore you are having to change. Yeah, I feel like as though a lot of Scorpio risings are really feeling a lot of these things intensely. And like I said, specifically at the end of Scorpio. And also Scorpio sun moon, but I could definitely see the rising as really seeing like there's a lot of changes that are happening in your life and you're having a hard time dealing with that. And I think the biggest thing right now is to remain open, to remain receptive, to feel empowered in having a hand in some of these changes that are happening because you've got Saturn North Node in your fifth house. So there is a sense of like desiring to be more self-expressive in the world, desiring to have more joy and pleasure in the world. You're kind of shedding the old in order to be able to do that. So, I can sense that this is difficult. This is a difficult feeling for a lot of you guys. And it makes total sense, but this is a sword card. So it means that in some ways, maybe there are some deep psychological patterns with and emotional patterns with Pluto in the fourth that have kind of made you feel like you can't change. And so you're being asked to re-examine those as well. Scorpio, let me know how this resonates for you guys. I'd love to hear in the comments down below. If you'd like to work with me personally, I'll have that link in the description, and I'll see you guys next time. My Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. You guys have this full moon happening in your 12th house. The 12th house is a place of hidden fears. It's our subconscious. It's where we go to be in solitude. It's overseas travel. It is where we have our self-limiting beliefs, the subconscious beliefs that kind of hold us back, things that are invisible to us. This is also a very, very spiritual house. It's the house of meditation as well. For you guys, I could see that there are some hidden fears, some subconscious patterns, or even like spiritual insights, like very emotional spiritual insights coming up. There is some sort of like a spiritual purge happening to you during this time. Could even be an emotional purge as well. Now, this could be pointing to something that you started back in November of 2024 around these things. So maybe you were planning an overseas travel and now you're getting some information about that, or there's some culmination or closure. Maybe you started a spiritual practice at that point. You're seeing some culmination or fruition from that. But you also have this Sun Uranus algal conjunction in your sixth house. And this is the last time we're going to have Sun Uranus conjunct in Taurus with algal, right? So there's some destabilizing happening here. And that can be nerve-wracking. It can be causing us anxiety because for you guys, it's happening with your work house, with your health or illness, with pets, daily responsibilities and duties as well falls into the sixth house. So there's some sort of revelation that's coming through about work environment, and your day-to-day responsibilities, how you take care of your mind and your body, that is reflecting some sort of emotional insight that is necessary for you to end a certain way of being. What I could see this as is because you've got Juno conjunct the moon here in the 12th house, is that this is for a lot of Sagittarius, like really having to dig super deep about looking at these like hidden fears and releasing these old commitments to deep subconscious patterns that are holding us back. And in some ways, this is what we're always doing. But when we have the 12th house highlighted, it just says that this is very big in our lives right now. And it's saying that these subconscious patterns are really holding you back from like a work situation that is meant to be for you. Or if you're having health issues, there's something in your subconscious that is really coming up in your health. So the emotions and the mind and the body are really being connected through this full moon for you right now. So there could be this like deep emotional release, but you need to take time to tune in, right? The insights, now you're getting the insights from your sixth house. So there could be like some sort of conflict that arises. And in that conflict, there's a breakthrough or a revelation made. Or it could be that at work, you have this insight at work, or you have just an insight around your sixth house matters that then reflects back to this emotional purge, this deep emotional release that needs to happen. But the 12th house is a quiet house. It's a place of solitude and meditation. So it's like you may need to go, you may get messages in your dreams. You may feel as though, you need to go through hypnosis or do some sort of subconscious work in order to really get to the root of the matter, that of knowing what needs to be released during this time so that you can move toward some sort of new aligned venture out in the physical world, which is the sixth house. So yeah, you might just have some old wounds, some old fears that may resurface. And my advice to you guys during this time is to don't distract yourself from this. Like go into it, heal, like get some solitude, meditate, do hypnosis, whatever allows you to really tune in so that you can have a renewed sense of understanding of what you're meant to put out into the physical world, what you're meant to do for work, how you're meant to heal, how you're meant to heal others as well. Because you've got Mercury in the sixth house squaring Pluto in the third. So this is once again Pluto in the third, mindset shifts, right? The third house is a little bit more conscious, but Pluto being there is resurfacing some very deep subconscious material as well regarding your mindset and beliefs and your thoughts and your communication styles. So yeah, this is something that's coming up in a lot of ways. Let's see if the tarot has anything else for you guys. Work ideas. Yeah, this is definitely something about like money. This is a work venture. This is a money venture for a lot of you guys. Obviously, this is a general reading, but I do feel as though there is something that you're supposed to be offering the world that is being held back by some subconscious fears and you're being asked to release those. So take some time to pay attention to what needs to be seen that maybe you have been hiding from. And remember to take care of yourself because this is a healing access. And sometimes when we could be like not resting enough or resting too much and not outputting enough. So balance is also very much indicated here. So Sagittarius, let me know how this resonates for you guys. I'd love to hear down below. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, I have my link in the description and I'll see you guys next time. For my Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising, you guys have this full moon happening in your 11th house. Your 11th house is a house of friends, communities, groups that you belong to. It's a house of your hopes and visions for the future, your wishes for the future, organizations that you belong to, the internet, technology, yeah, your humanitarian efforts as well. So this is really highlighting friendships, communities, and long-term visions and goals for your future. This can feel like, oh, I got a card for you guys. Interesting. I got this for somebody else too. Success in some way, a rebalancing of something. Okay, well, let me do the astrology first and we'll see how this kind of plays in. So, yeah, there could be some sort of a change that's happening in your networks, in your social networks or your social life. You could be recognizing, because with Moon and Juno here, I feel like there's a release happening. And now all this stuff that I'm talking about could relate back to something that was maybe started around November 2024 when you had a new moon in this part of your chart. But there could be something about releasing old hopes and dreams that no longer truly align with who you are. Because this Moon Juno is telling me that you could be releasing old commitments that no longer are aligned. So this could be even within an organization that you work for. You could be feeling like misaligned with that organization and releasing your commitment to them. Or it could be that you're releasing a certain dynamic that you have with that organization. So like feeling like they expect certain things out of you and you kind of taking a stand with this Sun Uranus algol conjunction in your 5th house of self-expression and saying, I don't want to do that. That doesn't feel good to me. This is how I want to show up in this organization. Is that going to be okay? So it doesn't have to be necessarily leaving organizations, but it can be changing dynamics within them. And this is kind of what I feel like is being indicated with all this Taurus stuff happening in your 5th house. You've got the Sun Uranus algol, which is the last time we're going to have Sun Uranus conjuncting algol in Taurus for 84 years. So this is kind of like a really big breakthrough moment that's happening in your 5th house, which your 5th house is about self-expression, joy, pleasure, love, romance, dating, children, your inner child. So this could be like your children saying something that kind of sparks something in you, or you're doing some inner child work and there's some sort of breakthrough or revelation, recognizing that you've kind of done this for a long time, where you've had these, you stay in outdated commitments within organizations or friend groups or online communities. And then you feel like it's suppressing your sense of self, and Sun Uranus algol is saying no. And a lot of times the Sun Uranus algol can feel as a destabilizing force. And so it can bring us some anxiety or make us feel like it's, it could bring some anxiety around taking a stand for ourselves and expressing ourselves in a way that's authentic and aligned. Because it feels like there's some sort of like friendships, social networks, or hopes and dreams that you are holding on to out of obligation, but they are becoming stifling for you. They are becoming too controlled, too contrived. They're not allowing you to express yourself. Can you let go of what no longer fits your vision? And this is not to spite anyone. It's just because you're recognizing that you deserve to be seen, and your desires and your way of being in the world deserves to have a place and deserves to be respected. And it's funny because like this to me makes me feel like it's not even just about redefining your future and finding the groups and the networks that would align with that, but that there's a sense of like a renewed sense of financial balance that can happen when you do this. Meaning that like if you're giving yourself to an organization or to friends and groups in a way that's unbalanced, you are rebalancing that, because you've also got Mars in the 8th house, which is very much about this like karmic give and take within relationships. And so when I see this, there's like a karmic rebalancing that could be happening. And this could be financial as well. You've got Jupiter in the 6th house And so it could definitely have something to do with financial matters, because you've also got Pluto in the second house, and that is still forming kind of like a wide opposition to Mars in the eighth. So this could be like there is some sort of a financial redistribution happening, or it could be like energetic as well, because this comes up a lot when I get the Six of Pentacles, even though it's a Pentacles card, that there is this like energetic balance that's happening. So maybe you've been giving too much to your friend, maybe you've been giving too much to these organizations. And now you're standing up for yourself and saying, like, no, what about me? What about me and what I want? And the fifth house is very creative. So you could be having some very creative insights, right? Like very creative breakthroughs. And I talked about this in the beginning part of the video, especially with the gene key here, that this is kind of like this breakthrough of this is what creativity is being receptive enough to allow new creative insights to come in and to let them be there, even if they don't make logical sense. And this is how like true creative inspiration comes. Knight of Swords. Interesting. Knight of Swords is actually quite impulsive. So watching any sort of impulsivity around making like major decisions during this time, this is really a time of reflection, right? Full moons are a time of reflection, seeing what has come to a close and what needs to be released. And then kind of moving forward from that, and not really a time of being super impulsive. Now, if you are shown something, then obviously taking action on that, but waiting until the moon starts waning in order to do that, because this is really a completion process, a releasing, a letting go. And I think for you guys, once again, it's just about redefining your future based on who you want to be and who you are becoming. And because this Mercury Pluto square is happening from your fifth and your second, there could be something around values and money and income that is kind of pressuring or pushing you to pursue something that you actually really love, something that's more creative. And this could just be like a side thing. It doesn't have to mean like you're quitting anything, but just pushing you towards a deeper sense of creative self-expression is what I keep hearing, but in some ways that is bringing some sort of a balance into your life. Once again, the Saturn North Node conjunction, Saturn is your ruler. So watching, your communication patterns during this time. And yeah, I wonder if, because you've got this square from the third to the sixth, like if there is something changing for you guys in terms of, and you got the second and the sixth house indicated here. So some changes happening to certain structures regarding money, beliefs about your value and self-esteem and self-worth. And also with the fourth house indicated with Neptune, Venus, which I've talked about already, some emotional healing that could be happening during this time. Yeah. So Capricorns, let me know how this resonates for you guys. I'd love to hear your stories down in the comments below. And if you'd like to work with me personally, I'll have that link in the description. I'll see you guys next time. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. You guys have this full moon happening in your 10th house. Your 10th house is about your career, your achievements, your public status, your reputation, bosses, authority figures. This could be a house of your father, and because it's a full moon, both parents are indicated, so it could be a relationship with your parents. So thinking back to November of 2024 around these things, was there an achievement, a goal that you want to achieve and now you're achieving it? Was there some sort of a career milestone you wanted to hit and now you're hitting it? Was there some sort of a situation happening with a father or authority figure that is now coming to a head? This is a culmination of something that was started around that time. And around this full moon, you have this Sun Algol Uranus conjunction happening in your fourth house of deep emotional foundations and roots, ancestral roots, your home life, property, your inner private world. So you guys are getting some sort of shocking insight from this Sun Uranus Algol, which is the last time it's going to happen in Taurus in this part of your chart for 84 years. So there could be some sort of destabilizing factor happening within the home, within the family life, within your internal private emotional world that is kind of what is reflecting back to you that there are some sorts of release of commitments that need to happen in regard to your achievements, regards to your career, your public status, your reputation. With the moon Juno here, it feels like there are old commitments that need to be let go of. So it doesn't mean that you're letting go of a career per se, which although some of you guys could be because you've got Saturn, one of your rulers in your second house with a North Node. If there's some sort of way of making money that's not in alignment, that could be leaving for you. But that doesn't have to be the case because sometimes it's just the dynamics that we are in. So there are some interpersonal or there's some dynamics within how you relate to your father, how you relate to authority figures, how you relate to your career that may need to be looked at, reflected upon, and possibly released with this Juno moon conjunction opposing this destabilizing of the sun Uranus, this breakthrough, this awakening that you're having. It could be coming from your parents, it could be coming from someone in the home, or it could be coming about the home life itself and the dynamics there. Because, and you could be feeling quite anxious. Like maybe some of you guys are anxious about where you're living or your family life, or there's just like a lot of emotional stuff going on and you're feeling quite anxious about that. Because that's this sun Uranus can sometimes bring that sort of that sort of energy that can feel like anxiety. But there's just a feeling that there's some sort of a career related thing that could be culminating, and that may require you to let go of old ambitions that feel more burdensome than you desire during this time. Like there's new desires coming about with in terms of your career and your reputation and your social status. There could be like a refocusing that needs to happen. And, I talked about this a lot with the Pluto retrograde video that I did that is happening in your sign, obviously. So, by the way, you're one of the fixed signs. So, if you have anything in the last decade, so the last like 10 degrees of Aquarius specifically, but this moon will be at 22 degrees. It's just that the algal Uranus is going to be at like 26, 27 degrees. So, just a few around like 22 to 26 is definitely going to feel its strongest. That there's a lot of tension here, right? There's a lot of areas of your life that are being called to change. You've got this full moon, and then you've got Mercury in your fourth house squaring Pluto in your first. So definitely some tension within the internal world or the family and the home life and who you want to be. And with Pluto in the first house, there's a refocusing happening, a redirection of energy towards different areas of who you are, right? And I've talked about that in that video. I also feel like because of this, like you may be asked to let go of some sort of control around feeling like you need to completely control some sort of image or reputation that you have. Like that may be for some of you guys, the dynamic is that you feel like you really have to control how other people perceive you. And that's kind of stifling you because a lot of times what other people see us as has actually nothing to do with us. And right now you've got Mars in the seventh. So maybe you're getting some really intense reactions out of people and you're kind of thinking that that has something to do with you. Now, not saying that there's no responsibility in how we show up in the world, because that's absolutely not true. We do have to take responsibility, but we cannot take responsibility for how other people perceive how we show up. And when we do that, we get kind of stuck in these power struggles. And those power struggles are not very conducive to us growing and allowing other people to grow as well, right? Because people have to own their own stuff as well. And so the more that we keep thinking that their perceptions of us are about us and not letting them take responsibility for their own shadows and their own perceptions, then we're stifling their growth as well. And that's kind of how I like to think about it sometimes when I try to take over somebody's issues, right? Like you're not really helping anybody. So let people have their beliefs about you, let people react how they want to react about you, and then make your own decisions that come from a place of empowerment rather than a place of wanting to control others or your image or anything like that. Yeah, major transformation happening for you guys, the death card. I can definitely see that happening. With Pluto, obviously, in your first house, this is a Scorpio card, and this full moon is in Scorpio. So definitely this like and the fact that it's a major arcana just tells me that yes, this is a big deal for you guys, especially because your co-ruler is Uranus and it's part of this full moon as well, right? So it's conjuncting the sun. Something being illuminated, it may feel like anxiety, but it's a breakthrough. And how can you become more receptive to receiving that breakthrough in order to fully step into this new empowered sense of self that is so authentic, right? Because that's what we want. That's what we need from you guys. This Aquarius, like you're reevaluating where you conform too much, where you don't conform enough, where you need to be more rebellious, more individualistic. Big themes coming up here for you guys. So I'd love to hear how this resonates for you guys down in the comments below. And if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, I'll have that link in the description as well. I'll see you guys next time. For my Pisces sun, moon, and rising, you guys have this full moon in Scorpio happening in your ninth house. Your ninth house is about your philosophy of life. It's about faith in the world, where you find truth, meaning, and wisdom and purpose in the world. It's a place of travel as well, long distance travel. Really, this is a house of our belief systems, higher education, teaching, publishing. It's about where we find mentorship or guides and mentors in our lives as well. This is a house of our expanding our horizons. So whether that's through travel or education or exploring different philosophical ideas. So there could be a shift in these beliefs. There could be a shift in travel plans, a shift in education plans. There might be a sense that your philosophy on life is being challenged. This could be by one of your siblings, neighbors, or cousins, or someone in your immediate surroundings or day to day. That could be challenging a belief system that you've held on to. And maybe this is a point of breakthrough for you. And maybe at first it might not feel like that. But whoever is being challenging you, maybe it's just somebody who's challenged you verbally, right? Or something that you read, because the third house is communication. It may feel like there's a conflict brewing. Oh yeah, especially because you have Mars in the sixth. Sometimes Mars in the sixth can bring conflict for sure. It's the house of conflict. But maybe this is a time for you to shift your perspective and see that sometimes people's words that may seem like an attack of our world views and our belief systems can actually be an invitation to expand our horizons, to see things from a higher perspective. For you guys, this actually could be a time where there's an increase in anxiety because Sun Uranus conjunction with Algol can be destabilizing and electrifying and very revelatory. So there could be a massive breakthrough coming through, but you guys might have a hard time like quieting the mind enough to be receptive enough to hear what's actually happening underneath what's being said. It's something that just came through to me that like the words that are being said, there's an underlying message that is actually really important for you to understand and hear. And this is only amplified by the fact that you have Mercury and Taurus squaring Pluto in your 12th. So looking at the underlying meaning of what is being said to you rather than the words that people are saying could be very, very, very helpful during this time. Yeah, wow, that's so interesting. That just came through very, very strongly. Yeah, maybe there's some sort of dogma that you believe that the world has to go in a certain way. Maybe that's being challenged. That's not easy for anybody, even, the peaceful, loving Pisces. There's also a sense that like you're being stripped of some sort of belief or some sort of commitment. You could be like, if you have education plans, maybe you're rethinking them, or travel plans, you're rethinking them, or philosophical ideas, you're rethinking them. This moon Juno to me tells me that there's some sort of a release that needs to happen around one of those things or a dynamic within those things. So maybe there's a relationship with a mentor that the relationship dynamics need to change and you're releasing a certain old commitment, old attachments to the way that you think you should act in those situations. Maybe you feel like you have to travel the world in order to expand consciousness. And now you're recognizing that dynamic's not working for you because you can't travel and you're feeling limited and restricted in travel or something. And therefore you are being asked to see like, how else can I expand? Like this is the kind of thing I'm talking about, releasing dynamics within your belief systems. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to abandon the beliefs, but maybe you're relating to your beliefs in a new way. So yeah, if there's any limiting or controlling ideologies, it's a great time to release that. Or even like educational paths that are no longer aligned or you've outgrown that you need to be okay with releasing. Because maybe it doesn't make sense. Maybe it's not logical. Maybe you should be doing it, but it doesn't feel right. You're going through a massive state of evolution with the North Node in your first house. And so expand your perspective and expand your sense of purpose and truth in the world to align with this new person that you're becoming. Let's see if the tarot has anything for you guys. Your one of your rulers, Jupiter, is squaring Saturn and the North Node. There may be a change in home that needs to happen to make some things happen that are more aligned in who you are becoming and what you want to do in the world. There may be a new expansive home, a better living situation, but it might not come easily. Or you're being just challenged internally with outdated emotional beliefs as well. Not just these philosophical beliefs, but deep emotional patterns that are being challenged in order for you to become this new version of you. See if the tarot has anything for you guys. Yeah, see, I think this is picking up on what I just said, like Jupiter in your fourth house, asking you like, when things are falling apart, how can you be emotionally collected in a way that's not repressive, but in a way that's like, yes, I'm going to take care of this. I got this. Having faith in yourself. Yeah. And the high priestess, this is the 12th house. This is the 12th house, like listening to your intuition, seeing what's being said underneath the surface, digging much deeper than what you even think. Like, so if you're having negative thoughts, like digging deeper to see what's really going on underneath this, or if other people are saying things, like I said earlier, what's actually happening, what's actually being said, what are they not saying? And this doesn't mean taking responsibility for people's lack of communication skills. So it's not excusing anyone's behavior or the words that are said, but maybe what they're saying to you could incite some sort of a breakthrough that would be very helpful for you as well. That doesn't mean that, that means then after then you can, decide to do whatever you want with that relationship or that person or what they said. But regardless, don't take it, allow the mind to be still enough for you to be able to see what's happening underneath the surface so that you can get the revelations, the breakthroughs, the insights that you need. So Pisces, let me know how this resonates for you guys. I'd love to hear in the comments down below. And of course, if you guys want to work one-on-one with me, I'll have that link in the description as well. I'll see you guys next time.